So let's take a closer look, and we'll choose this one because it's right up here at the top. So first of all, this role, if we want, we can select to modify and we can edit. Optionally delete the role if we want. Be very careful with that. We can take a look at the groups that are part of this role. This will give you an idea of just how many groups are participating. So we can see the admin group, of course, has privileges to it, and the operations group has privileges to see it. But what does that mean? Over here under permissions, permissions define exactly what we can do within that particular workspace. You'll note that some of the names like attachments, workflow, workspace, these pertain to the tabs that we see inside of the workspace. More on that on a separate tutorial. But specifically, this role says that we can add, delete, and edit attachments. We can view attachments and view the attachment history. This is the read-write role. Well, let's contrast that with the read-only role and see how that's different. Taking a look at the permissions, we see that under the Attachments tab, we do not have Add or Delete or Edit. We simply have View History and View Attachment. And again, this is our security model where we can define at a granular level who can see what and perform what, see which particular tabs we have, and interact with the items in the workspace. Next, let's talk about some best practices when it comes to these roles. You'll see that the roles and the groups were defined by Autodesk, and these are a kind of a good starting point. Of course, you can take any one of these roles and move it over onto the right. So, best practice tip number one, do not simply add all of these roles over to the right. You'll get more than you have bargained for. In fact, you'll have more tabs, more functionality than is logical within the system. So picking and choosing and knowing which tabs to use, that's part of our workspace creation and setup tutorial. But one final thing down here, if we come down and you'll see things like a workflow permission and you add it over onto the right, take note that anybody that's part of that group will now have that workflow permission. They'll be notified by email. You're giving them permissions. You're giving them more rights. Another best practice, when it comes over here to the users, beware of adding a user to more than one group or multiple groups that might have conflicting interests. Right now, Ed Engineer is part of the engineering group. If we said that Ed Engineer is also part of the admin group, he would log in. He'd be able to see not only administration, but potentially get into the back administration side and go into user groups and roles, go into the setup area where we have our workspaces, go into the global configuration options. So beware of having people a part of more than one group. And finally, it's a good idea to have people log into their site as the new user. So in this case, we'll log in as Ed Engineer. Once they log in, have them go through, read the Autodesk Cloud Terms of Service, privacy policy, and it's a good idea to start taking the PLM 360 tour, PLM 360 in 6 steps, start the tour, watch some of the videos, overview of workspaces, and have them get acquainted with the product.